Okay, I think I owe everyone an update on the finished bike. You can see in front of you the Surly Ghost Grappler. Finished, complete, all done. Well, let's start with the overall proportions. You can see, if you recall, I'm using 700C wheels. And I think, it's my personal view, that on an extra large frame at least, it actually looks quite proportionate. I think the smaller wheels, the 650B wheels, would have looked okay too, but I think they might have looked a little bit small, especially on an extra large frame. So let's just talk about what the finished bike has on it. So if you recall, I had Shimano MT600 wheels. These are Shimano SLX level wheels. They've got really good hubs, and I've always found them to be extremely durable. They have 28 spokes, but I've found them to not really. I think the 28 spokes don't take away from the strength. They have an internal width of 24, and yeah, I think I've always liked them. They make a nice sound, when you coast. Now the tires are Rene Herse. They're 48 millimeters wide, nominally 48 millimeters wide, but they're actually running around 49.5, which is surprising because Rene Herse claim, or in their literature, that the tire runs, I think, exactly 48 or 48 and a half. I must just say that they are running tubeless. I actually had a surprisingly, I found it was pretty easy for these tires to install them tubeless. All I had to do was to put in a tube, let them sit overnight, and next morning I just removed the bead on one side, put in the nozzle, and yeah, it in the first go they basically worked. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. This is the first time I've had Rene Herse come together so well tubeless. Anyway, so let's keep going. So just to show you the tire clearance for 48C. Now just remember, they are around close to 50 millimeters wide, and you can see there is kind of a finger's thickness of clearance around the frame. So I could have actually gone a little wider. I might have been able to go to the 55 millimeter tires, but then I would have had to take this bolt away and maybe replace it with a low profile one. But I guess that another reason why I decided to stick with 48 millimeter tires was Rene Herse themselves claim that 48 millimeters is kind of the boundary between performance and road and a more mountain bike application. Given that that really what I want this bike for is I want it as a gravel bike, maybe a little bit extreme gravel, but I definitely don't want it as a mountain bike. I have a mountain bike for proper for exactly that purpose. So anyway, let's just go over the rest of the bike. So you've already seen tires, really nice Rene Herse tires. They have, and with the Shimano MT600 wheels, I've fitted a Shimano Deore level brake pads. So these are Shimano Deore level 2-piston brake pads. They actually work really well. They're, I guess, an upgrade on the Shimano MT200 that I use on my Bridgestone and on a few other bikes. And I've always found even the entry-level Shimano hydraulic brakes to be great. So these are an upgrade, and yeah, they work excellent. At the front, it's got a 180 millimeter Shimano rotor, and at the back, it's got a 160 millimeter rotor. You can see what I've done. I've run all the cables along one side of the bike. On the non-drive side, you can see the cable. These two are. That's the dropper post, and this one is the rear brake. And you can see I've tried to keep them neatly together where they run along here. Now let's talk about dropper post. So the shifters are the Shimano GRX600. Now it's only the 800 that has the integral dropper post. That would have cost me double the price for the shifters, and they were also not available, so I just would have had to wait an indefinite amount of time. So I decided to go with having a separate remote dropper, a dropper remote. Now this one is actually pretty good. It's made by Shimano as well, by Pro, which is a Shimano company, and you can see you know, I can ride along, and it's easy for me to get my hand on it when I'm in the drops, in both places where my hand is in the drops or my hand is on the hoods. I can access this dropper lever very, very easily. So I don't feel I have really lost anything. Now the dropper itself is a KS Rage I. It's one of their better ones. It's light. I think it's about 400 grams, which is pretty good. I mean, when a normal seat post is about 300 or 280 grams, so only having 120 grams extra penalty is actually not bad. The saddle is a Cell SMP Light 209. This has now become my new favorite. I always had Cell SMPs, and I've had gliders in the past as my favorite, but I tell you, this is even better, more comfortable than the glider. There's something about this saddle that it's just magic. It has a bit more padding and maybe the shape, whatever, but yep, so far absolutely spot on. Now the bars, the standard Ghost Grappler, which by the way Surly has changed to Grappler. The Ghost has been ghosted. So the standard Grappler / Ghost Grappler comes with a Surly cow chipper bar, and I think they're 480 millimeters wide. This is the Curve Walmer, a 500 millimeter wide bar. I think it's called the 500 BP or 50 BP, one of the two. But anyway, look, it's a really, really nice bar. I love it. It's got a bit of a 10-degree back sweep along the top here, which makes it even more comfortable when you have your hands rested here. And in most other places it's very, very similar to the cow chipper. I think it's got a 29-degree flare out in this direction as opposed to maybe 25 or 24 on the cow chipper. For me, it's actually very, very natural. I've got a very natural hand position. I guess another thing is I'm running a ZTTO stem, 50 millimeter stem. I tried with a 60. I think it's 50 works really well for me on this bike. What I find always is it takes me a few weeks and 5 or 6 rides to set everything absolutely right, to set the orientation of the bars, to set the angle, and to set the precise position of the shifters. The same thing with the seat angle. play around with it until I get it absolutely right. And I guess it's another good thing about the Cell S&P. They've got one of the longest rails, and you can actually use the whole length of it. Okay, so that's Supercast bar tape. Now you can see, admittedly, it's not the neatest application, and the problem with that, the reason for that is it's quite thick. So let me turn the bike around. See the other side. See the drivetrain, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's see what we have on this side. All the good stuff. So I went with so this bike is a mountain bike crank, right? It's a mountain bike's bottom bracket spacing of 73. Oops, I lost the bike almost. So it's got a 73 millimeter bottom bracket spacing, which basically means that you need mountain bike cranks. Now that's why I didn't go with the Shimano GRX, because that has 68 millimeter cranks. But anyway, I don't think that's a big problem. The Deore takes a 96 offset BCD chainring. Now this is a 38 tooth Deckas chainring. Deckas is a Chinese company that actually, it's probably one of the best value for money chainrings you can buy. You can get them on AliExpress. Okay, now let's just go back and understand and look at my choice of drivetrain. So basically what I wanted at the back, I wanted an 11 to 51 gearing, so basically to give me good climbing ability, but I also wanted speed, and for that I needed a big chainring. To get a big chainring, basically 11 to 38, I needed to so I wouldn't compromise on my climbing ability. I had to go for a 51 tooth cassette at the back. Now that caused some interesting problems, and the main issue that caused is that my shifter, obviously, they are the drop bar type shifters. For me to get hydraulic brakes, my only choice was, I think, SRAM or Shimano, and I don't like SRAM. It's just one of those things. I'm not a SRAM person, I'm a Shimano person. So to get a Shimano, I had to go with GRX. And GRX, the maximum, the GRX shifters need GRX derailleur. I couldn't have used a mountain bike derailleur unless I would have had to have had a wolf tooth. I think it's called a tan pan, or some sort of a device that allows you to change your pull ratio. It's like a pulley system that allows you to change the ratio. So I didn't like that. The reason for being that I've always loved Shimano 105 and above shifter feel quality. It's really one of the best, and I wanted to retain that. So for me, it was important to be able to retain a GRX rear derailleur. This is a GRX 810 rear derailleur, but the maximum capacity for that is 11 to 42. Now, the solution for that is there's a company in Poland called Garbaruk. They make these absolutely beautifully machined cage extenders. So this is a Garbaruk cage that fits to the derailleur. So I had to take this off. The cage is around $110 Australian dollars, and they make special pulleys that are also around the same price. So this derailleur ended up costing me around 350 or 375 Australian dollars with a new pulley and the cage. Now what that does is allows me to shift seamlessly between 11 and 51, and it gives me that good climbing ability. I've taken this really on 20% gradients, and yeah, it works really well. What else can I say about the bike? Yeah, the total weight came to around 14.2 kilos, which is a little heavier than I was expecting, but honestly, while riding along, I just don't feel it. To me, it's an irrelevance, the weight. But the bike feels sprightly. It turns in well. Okay, look, I'm looking for anything else I can tell you about the bike. Yeah, this sticker was a Supercast sticker I picked up for $1. What else? Yep. That's kind of more or less it. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll see if I can come up with a video showing some riding and how I fit on the bike and some of the changes I made for fitting. But basically, yep, this bike is a really nice to ride, easy to ride, stable, fast, nimble. It accelerates well. It does everything really nicely, and it's comfortable, so controlled. And I'm riding it in a completely different way. I'm looking for any little detours, over rough, chunky bits. Something that I would never have contemplated doing on my road bike. Anyway, yep. I hope I have helped you in your journey. In looking for a ghost grappler. Look, I can say for a fact that even though this bike has cost me around about 4,200 Australian dollars, which is about $900 more than the price of Surly's configuration. I think that's 3,300 Australian dollars. This bike is a far better value for money than what Surly offers. And I mean, I just running you through some of the simple, huge improvements. You get Shimano hydraulic brakes, you get Shimano shifters that are a huge step over microshift. Microshift is really crude, and the brakes that they offer are really absolute garbage. The tires on the stock bike are okay, but they're absolutely not road tires. You will not enjoy riding on the road or on pavement, on gravel. These tires, you can do both. These are just like a magical combination of a tire that can go off-road and on-road, and it loves both. I have a much better gear range. I'm quicker at the front. It's a 38 tooth as a 4, I think, that they offer. It's got a far better crank. I mean, it's a Shimano crank. That's some sort of a no-name brand. It's got, I mentioned, it's got better wheels. I mean, Shimano wheels are way better than WTB wheels. The tires, I mean, these are some of the best tires you can get. They are probably the best tire you can get, I should say. And you pay for it. It's got a better dropper post. It's a KS versus some thing else. And the saddle, of course. This saddle cost me about $300 on its own, which is part of the price, I guess, I paid. Yeah. Well, what else can I say? Look, I love the bike. I've gotten lots of people telling me how much they love it. That I'm not saying the normal Ghost Grappler is a bad bike, but I think this one is a little bit special. But of course it's mine, and I'll say so. I'll be biased and happy to admit that. Look, feel free to ask me any questions. I hope I'll be able to update you, in some time, what I find. And yeah, happy riding.